Most people believe the world is loud. They think life announces its miracles with thunder, with visions in the sky, with angels blowing horns. But those who are chosen know the truth. The most important things arrive quietly. For Elian, it began with silence. Not the normal kind, the kind that exists between sounds, but a deeper silence, one that felt deliberate, as though the world itself had paused to watch him breathe. He first noticed it on an ordinary evening. The sun had already dipped below the roofs of the city, leaving the streets washed in tired amber light. Elian was walking home from the printing shop, where he worked, ink still staining his fingertips, when the air around him thickened. People passed him, cars honked, vendors shouted. Yet something was missing. The noise no longer reached him. It was as if he had stepped into a bubble the size of his own body, one where the world continued moving, but without sound. His footsteps echoed too loudly in his ears. His heartbeat felt enormous. Then he saw it. At the far end of the alley he used every day, a narrow passage between a bakery and a shuttered bookstore, stood a wall. It had never been there before. He stopped walking. The alley should have led straight to the main road. He had walked it thousands of times since childhood. He knew every crack in the pavement, every smell of old bread and damp paper. But now, blocking the path entirely, stood a wall of pale stone. It was tall, too tall to climb smooth, yet etched with faint markings that seemed to shift when he tried to focus on them. The wall looked ancient, older than the city, older than memory itself. Elian frowned. "Summoners playing a joke," he muttered. He reached out and touched it. The moment his fingers met the stone, the silence deepened, and the wall responded. Not by moving, not by glowing, but by remembering him. A sensation passed through Elian, like a hand turning the pages of his life, flipping through moments he had long forgotten. His mother's laugh before illness stole it. The first book that ever made him cry, the day he chose safety over a dream and told himself it was maturity. He stumbled back, gasping. The silence broke. The wall was gone. The alley was empty again. People walked by as if nothing had happened. Elian stood there shaking, his heart pounding, knowing with a certainty that frightened him he had been seen. Elian did not sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt the texture of the wall beneath his fingers. He saw the shifting symbols, curves, and lines that resembled letters, but belonged to no language he knew. By morning, exhaustion pressed on him like weight, yet beneath it burned something else. Curiosity. At work, his hands moved automatically, arranging type, printing flyers and notices for other people's lives. But his mind kept returning to the alley. At lunch, he mentioned it casually to Mara, a co-worker who had known him for years. "Did you hear about construction in Oak Alley?" he asked. Mara raised an eyebrow. "Construction? There hasn't been anything there in decades." "What about a wall, someone blocking it off?" She laughed softly. "Elian, are you feeling okay? Oak Alley goes straight through, always has." He watched her face carefully. There was no deception there, only genuine confusion. That was when he understood the second truth. The wall does not appear to everyone. That evening, he returned to the alley. Nothing the next day. Nothing. A week passed. Elian began to doubt himself. Maybe exhaustion had played tricks on his mind. Maybe grief, buried deep and unspoken, had finally surfaced as hallucination. Then, on the 8th night, when the moon hung thin and uncertain, the silence returned. The wall stood waiting. This time, Elian did not hesitate. He placed both palms against the stone. The markings sharpened, arranging themselves into words, not carved, not written, but felt directly in his chest. You are here because you asked a question you never spoke aloud. Elian's breath caught. All his life he had carried that question, the one that lived behind every choice, every compromise. What if I was meant for more than survival? The wall pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging the thought. This wall appears only to those who doubt the limits placed upon them. Tears stung Elian's eyes. I didn't do anything special, he whispered. I'm not brave. I'm not powerful. The stone felt warm now. The chosen are not those without fear, but those who feel it and still listen. The silence lifted. The wall faded, but something had changed. Elian carried the wall with him now, not as an image, but as a presence, and he was no longer alone. Elian began to notice small signs. A woman on the train staring at her reflection as if seeing someone else behind it. A boy sketching the same strange symbols on the sidewalk with chalk. An old man in the park, touching a tree with reverence, whispering, I remember. He started watching people more closely. Then one evening, in a quiet cafe near the river, someone spoke first. You've seen it too. Elian looked up sharply. The speaker was a woman about his age, with tired eyes and a calm voice. She sat across from him without asking permission. The wall, she continued, it appears when the world goes quiet. Elian swallowed. Who are you? Leora, she said. And before you ask, no, I don't know why we're chosen, only that we are. They talked for hours. Leora had seen the wall for the first time after walking away from a life everyone else had planned for her. Another man, Thomas, had encountered it while mourning a dream he never pursued. A teacher named Avon claimed the wall appeared only when he told the truth he'd been avoiding. Each story was different, but the pattern was the same. The wall appeared not at moments of success, but at moments of inner fracture. It doesn't give answers, Leora said quietly. It gives mirrors, Elian nodded. And it doesn't stay. No, she agreed. It teaches you to walk without it. Weeks passed. The chosen found one another, not through signs or summons, but through recognition. A look held too long. A phrase spoken with meaning beneath it. They began to meet in abandoned places, rooftops, old libraries, half-forgotten rooms. And always, the wall appeared differently to each of them. To some, it showed memories. To others, paths not taken. To a few, futures that frightened them. But eventually, the wall asked something of everyone. For Elian, the message came one night, when the wall appeared closer than ever, inside the printing shop, between shelves of ink and paper. You have used your hands to copy other people's words. What will you create when no one tells you what to print? Elian felt the weight of it. He had always been safe, always careful, always waiting for permission. The wall did not command him, it simply waited. And Elian understood the final truth. The wall is not a door, it is a test of choice. One by one, the chosen stopped seeing the wall. Not because it abandoned them, but because they no longer needed it. Leora left the city to build something unnamed, but honest. Thomas spoke the truth he had buried for years. Avon stood before his students, and taught not just lessons, but courage. As for Elian, he began to write, not flyers, not notices, stories about unseen walls, quiet awakenings, and ordinary people who dared to listen to the silence within themselves. And something strange happened. Others began to recognize themselves in his words. They felt seen. They felt chosen. The wall never appeared to Elian again. But sometimes, late at night, when the world grows quiet and a reader closes one of his stories with a racing heart, a faint sensation passes through the air, as if somewhere just beyond sight, a wall is waiting not for everyone, only for those brave enough to ask the question they've been avoiding. Epilogue The secret of the Chosen the Wall was never meant to divide humanity. It was meant to remind it that destiny does not shout, that purpose does not beg, that inspiration comes softly and waits patiently for those willing to stop and listen. And if, one night, the world grows silent around you, if a wall appears where none should be, do not run. Place your hands upon it. It has been waiting for Lady Annalise, you,